Welcome to Horseshoe Politics. Today is September 25th, 2020, and I wanted to give an update on what things are looking like for the Supreme Court and the vacancy that was left because of the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Earlier today, I think it was earlier today, if not earlier today, then it was yesterday, but I'm pretty sure it was earlier today, Trump announced that he would nominate Amy Coney Barrett to fill the Supreme Court seat. And Amy Coney Barrett is actually one of the three people I talked about in my video a few days ago, where I talked about all the possible Supreme Court nominees that Trump might choose. In that video, I specifically talked about three women. One of them was Amy Coney Barrett, one of them was Barbara Lagoa, and I honestly actually already forgot the name of the third person. She wasn't as important because she did not have a good chance of getting chosen, but the big two, the two people that were being talked about a lot by the media, and they were the two that I talked a lot about in my video, were Amy Coney Barrett and Barbara Lagoa. Both of them had certain advantages going for them, but I guess in the end, Trump decided to choose Amy Coney Barrett to fill the Supreme Court seat. Now, the question is the Senate going to approve of her? Is she going to get the minimum 50 votes needed in the Senate to actually be able to serve on the Supreme Court? Because obviously Trump was going to nominate someone. Nothing stopping him from nominating someone. The question is whether the Senate will actually vote to accept her onto the Supreme Court. Now, what I've been saying in the past few videos is that she probably won't be able to get enough votes to actually serve on the Supreme Court until after the election, because it seemed like several senators were waiting until after the election before considering a vote for a new Supreme Court justice. But it seems like now Trump might still be able to push in a new Supreme Court justice before the election. That's what a lot of people are saying now, that he might actually be able to get away with putting another Supreme Court justice in the Supreme Court before the election. Because the reason for that is because, as of now, only 2 Republicans out of 53 that serve in the Senate, only 2 have come out and said that they're not going to vote on a new Supreme Court justice until after the 2020 presidential election. And those 2 senators are Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski. Now, both of these senators, they're what I would consider moderate Republican senators. Basically, they're Republicans, they serve with the Republicans in the Senate, but they also side with the Democrats on a lot of things, and they're basically centrist in their voting records. Most of the other Republicans are more partisan in their voting record in the Senate, but Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, they're considered like the centrist Republicans because they are fine with siding with the Democrats from time to time. But 2 senators is not enough. 2 Republican senators keeping consistent with their 2016 position, that's not enough to stop Amy Coney Barrett from getting a vote, because that's still 51 senators that are fine with approving Amy Coney Barrett. Mitt Romney, a lot of people thought that he would also say that we should wait until the election's over before voting on a Supreme Court nominee, but he came out a couple days ago and said that he is fine with voting on a new nominee, voting for Trump's new nominee before the presidential election. So, because of that, there's still 51 senators that are willing to vote for that are likely willing to vote for Amy Coney Barrett before the election. So, because there's still 51 senators that are fine with not waiting until after the election to vote on the new justice, Amy Coney Barrett might actually be able to get pushed through before Election Day. And even if it's not by Election Day, she might be able to do it in the lame duck period. She might be able to get in during what it's called the lame duck period, the period between November 3rd and January 20th, Election Day and Inauguration Day. Now, if Trump wins, obviously that's not going to matter because he's going to be president for 4 more years, so obviously nothing's stopping him from choosing another Supreme Court nominee then. But in the instance that Biden wins the 2020 presidential election, Trump would still be president until January 20th, even though Election Day is on November 3rd, which means that there's an over 2-month window where we know that Joe Biden's going to be president, that Donald Trump's time is up, but he still technically gets to serve as the president. And because of that, Trump will still have the ability to nominate Amy Coney Barrett in that time period. And the Senate will also be able to vote on her during that time period. The Senate, for the Senate, it's not January 20th, the date where they change seats. It's actually January 3rd. It's a bit earlier. It's a couple weeks earlier. So on January 3rd, if a senator wins an election on election day, J- January 3rd is the day they actually come into office. So what that means is that the Senate actually has until January 3rd to vote on the Supreme Court justice. But here's the thing, actually, that's actually not true. I lied just now. Why? Because the Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, he's already confirmed that if he wins against Martha McSally in the Senate election this fall in Arizona, he will actually take office as early as November 30th, just a couple weeks after the election. So that means that if the Supreme Court nominee is not actually confirmed by end of November, already if Mark Kelly wins that Senate race, you're already down to only 50 flat 50 senators willing to vote for the Supreme Court nominee. Because Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, they're both staying out of it until after the election. And then if you have Mark Kelly in the mix and you remove Martha McSally, that's 3 senators less than the current 53 in the Senate. So that would be only 50. And from there, they would only need one more senator to wait until after the election. Then they could prevent Trump from choosing a new Supreme Court nominee before the election. So, do I think that Amy Coney Barrett will actually be able to get into office, be able to actually get serving on the Supreme Court before election day? I am really on the edge about this now because a few days ago I said no, it seemed really unlikely because there were less than 50 days until election day, and no nominee, no Supreme Court nominee has been able to be improved in just 50 days. Usually takes at least 2 months, usually around 70 days. So I thought there was no way Amy Coney Barrett would be able to get nominated and get approved by the Senate in just a 2 month, or not even 2 month, 50-day period. But one of the things is that I forgot about the lame duck period. The Senate still really has until January 3rd to approve of Amy Coney Barrett. And the other thing is, if they wait until after the election, once the election results are complete, once they've all been tallied up, none of the senators have any pressure on them to make a certain vote, because even if they make an unpopular vote, because it's been shown in polls, the most popular opinion for the Supreme Court situation is just waiting until after the election to choose a new Supreme Court nominee. Across the board, more people said that we should wait until after the election. Trump should wait until after the election before choosing a Supreme Court nominee. A lot more people have said that the winner of the 2020 presidential election should choose the next nominee than people that said that Trump should just choose one right now. So that means that wanting Trump to choose a new nominee right now is a relatively unpopular opinion. So if senators take that stance before the election, then that might hurt their re-election chances, especially for Susan Collins. I'm pretty sure that's the biggest reason why she's staying out of it until after the election, because she's from Maine, which is a swing state, at least in the Senate, and maybe the presidential election. Presidential election, I think Biden is pretty much likely to win that state. I don't think Trump has much of a chance at winning Maine, but for the Senate, it's a swing seat because Sarah Gideons is actually doing really well in the polls in that state. I think Sarah Gideons is also beating Susan Collins on the fundraiser numbers. I haven't checked the fundraiser numbers recently, but she's been doing well in fundraising and well in the polls, which shows that she has a good chance of winning that Senate seat. So Susan Collins wants to do all she can to make sure she holds on to that seat. And if she does an unpopular vote like the one to approve the nominee before the election, that might really hurt her re-election chances when she's already struggling to hold on to that seat. So I'm thinking that's what a lot of people are thinking. That's the biggest reason why Susan Collins is deciding to stay out of it until after the election. Lisa Murkowski, she's not up for election this year, so there's not as much pressure on her. But even then, she's supposed to be one of the moderate Republicans. So even though she is a Republican, even though all the other Republicans are taking the stance of don't wait until after the election, let Trump choose right now, and let's approve before the election, because she's a moderate and because the polls have shown that waiting until after the election is a more popular opinion, a more popular stance on the issue. I guess Lisa Murkowski decided that it's better to just wait until after the election because otherwise she'll be making an unpopular move, and she's supposed to be moderate, and people might not like it if she does an unpopular move when she's supposed to be a moderate. So that's why I'm thinking that Lisa Murkowski decided to stay out of it until after the election. So I'm actually not at all sure if Amy Coney Barrett will be able to get into office before the presidential election, because there's not enough time. There's not much time left. You have until November 3rd until the election, but you actually have until January 3rd, where the senators that get elected this election season, they actually take office on January 3rd. So technically they have around a 3 month period to actually approve the Supreme Court justice. So in theory they could do it, but at the same time it would be an unpopular move by the Republican senators, because the polls have shown a lot more people want them to wait until after the election. I'm really not sure how this is going to unfold. This all happened last minute. It's only been a week since Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away, and already you have an entirely new dilemma that the 2020 presidential election is centered around the filling of the Supreme Court justice. Even before Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away, she was already pretty old, and a lot of people were thinking she would retire soon. So already the issue of filling a Supreme Court vacancy was coming up even before Ruth Bader Ginsburg's death. But now that she actually has passed away, there actually is an open seat that's just waiting to be filled. And because the election is so near, this has become a huge topic, and it's added a whole new layer of complexity to the 2020 presidential election. And honestly, it's added a whole new level of divisiveness to this election. This election was already really polarized, really divisive, because I think that the results aren't going to be that different from 2016. We live in such a polarized political environment that no matter what any candidate does, most people are going to stick to one side or the other. Most conservatives are going to stay with the Republican Party. Most liberals are going to stay with the Democratic Party, because it's all a matter of lesser of two evils. Yeah, maybe the conservative Republican candidate is bad, but hey, it's still better than the liberal Democratic candidate. And this is what I was talking about in yesterday's video, actually. We need to change the voting system. And that's why I was talking about how we need ranked choice voting implemented, because that would allow more than two candidates to be able to serve without messing things up. I'm actually planning on making an entire video just dedicated to ranked choice voting pretty soon, because I believe that it's something that we really need. Because first past the post, which is the official name of the system, where the person with the most votes wins, that's basically the problem with that system, is that it eventually leads to just two major parties having power, and then every other third party candidate never wins elections. So it's not a matter of being good, it's just a matter of being better than your opponent. And that leads to both parties not being as good as they could otherwise be, because there's no incentive to be good if all you have to do is be better than your opponent. So I'm thinking that ranked choice voting would be such a beneficial change to the election system that would lead to much better candidates on both sides of the aisle. And I'm planning on making a video about that specific election system soon. I brought it up yesterday as sort of a side tangent point, but I'm going to make an entirely new video just on that pretty soon. I don't know how soon, maybe like a week from now, maybe a few days from now. I still need to plan out like what the video will be about, but that's a video that you can expect to look forward to not too far from now. I haven't really had anything major planned for today's video. I just wanted to give my thoughts on what the situation is with the Supreme Court. It's really not clear what's going to happen. I thought that 90% chance they're going to wait till after the election, because it did not seem likely that they would be able to get the necessary votes to approve of Amy Coney Barrett before the presidential election. But it seems they might be able to get away with it. There's a chance, because there's still 51 Republican senators who haven't said anything against waiting until after the election. 51 Republican senators have either said nothing or have said that they're fine with voting before the election. Only 2 Republican senators have explicitly said that they're going to wait until after the election before taking a vote on it, and those are Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski. So it's really not clear what's actually going to happen, but we just have to wait and see. I'm definitely planning on making another video about this soon, because this issue is not going to settle down. It's probably going to get more polarized, more divisive. That's the theme with this election in general, if you think about it. But I think that I've said enough for today's video, and just remember, look forward to that video about ranked choice voting. It's also called single transferable vote, if I remember correctly. Look forward to that, because I really think that's exactly what we need to improve the election system in the United States. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope you tune into tomorrow's video. See you then.